Welcome everyone, I am the Depressed Eeyore, and this is Middara, Trail of the Princess #1, an opportune tip on Tabletop Simulator. So, Trail of the Princess #1 is an adventure book that was I got a few months ago, well actually several months ago at this point. It is just a kind of a side story that runs in line with Middara Unintentional Malum Act 1. For anyone that's been watching that playlist. This content will be on its own playlist just to kind of keep it separate for anyone that just wants to see what this particular adventure book has to offer. It is designed to be played solo, like completely solo, as in having only one character, which is definitely ups the challenge a bit. As for the recommended, it does in the book. It does give you a recommended play order. It tells you to play this after Chapter 2 of Act 1 and before Chapter 4 of Act 1. So spoilers for my other playthrough. For those who are not watching it, I obviously got past Chapter 2 at this point. There's also some story flags that do matter from Unintentional Malum Act 1. I will be using the flags I have from that. So as of recording this, my flags right now is Bouncer Bounce, Culprit Identified, and Prize Possession. I don't believe I have anything else. All right. Besides that, I scanned in pretty much everything for to play this, but I don't have the book scanned in, so I have it in front of me to read. And so we'll just go through this. There's a quick build guide. You need to reveal large and small hidden cards UM45 for Shayless Arson. I'm not going to reveal it now. It'll be revealed later on in Act 1, so I'm not going to worry about that. It also says you can choose to play Shayless Arson from the Chaos 1 promo pack, which is what I am going to be using. Shayless will start with 18 experience points. He'll have one common weapon with the light tag, one straight shift common weapon, one common armor of either cloth or leather, and the Garter Knives Wandering Relic, and then you have 40 gold worth of mundane and common items that aren't weapons. And then it has some recommended builds for both Shayless Arson and Ballroom Shayless Arson, which Ballroom Shayless Arson is what we're going with. So here's Ballroom Shayless. Sorry for putting a cut there. I pressed a bunch of wrong keys. All right, so this is Ballroom Shayless Arson here. We got some lore that we can read in the back, but she has 6 presence, 4 lore, 3 agility, 2 perception, 3 strength. Her special ability is Deadly Elegance, where she can exhaust to whenever she does a throw with a discard, flip, or per encounter condition, you can deal an additional purple of physical damage. So she does more damage with throw weapons, or throw items, or both, really. Shayless is prepared even during the most formal events. And then for the back, Shayless looked at herself in the mirror, her bright green eyes blinking back at her behind dark eyeliner and heavy makeup. She still couldn't get her makeup right. Her cat eyes weren't straight. Shayless let out a frustrated sigh and moved to start over when a delicate hand wrapped around her wrist. Shayless, Nalia said, smiling, it looks good, really. Good, but not perfect. Sorry, my cat is in front of me. Get off the desk, kitty. All right. Shayless furrowed her brow and looked at her reflection next to Nalia's. Her brother was a lucky man. Long dark hair fell far past Nalia's shoulders, resting on olive skin. Her dress was cut in such a way that her sides were bare, her skin a stark contrast against the bright white dress. Nalia pulled at Shayless gently. You've done this 100 times. It's just another diplomatic meeting. Nalia looked up at her with a bright smile. It really wasn't, though. Nalia hadn't been married into the Arson family for long, and she wasn't particularly educated on the politics between Alinea and Fair-Edge. Had Nalia and Yoel been capable enough to handle such a delicate matter on their own, Shayless wouldn't even be here. Balthazar was going to expect good news from their visit to Fair-Edge. They needed to support the support of the neighboring kingdom. A knock came from the door to the dressing room, and the two turned to find Yoel standing in the entrance. We've arrived. I hope you're both ready. Yoel's voice was stoic as usual, but Shayless could tell he was tense. Shayless frowned as she inspected herself in the mirror one last time. Her hair was cut short and slicked back behind her horns. Now she wished she had grown it out years ago. Nalia drew both of their attention with a little twirl, then struck a glamorous pose. How do I look? Shayla gazed at Nalia, biting her lip. Perfect. All right. So as for our starting stuff, I have a little bit of knowledge of the first encounter. I did try trying something other than summoning, because obviously going solo, having a summon definitely can help you a lot. I tried going like a caster build, which would probably be great if it was someone other than me rolling the dice. Pretty much every opportunity where I can do any raw damage, I rolled minimum. That includes these throwing knives. So I feel like there's a lot of heavy RNG in this first encounter. And to be fair, the first encounter, losing it is not the end of the world. But I do want to try to, I guess as far as my goals are concerned for this playthrough, I want to show off as much as possible, which means probably not dying in the first few rounds. Before I go into the gear, I do need to talk about variant rules. So we got them over here. For anyone that's familiar with my other playthrough that's currently going on, which is the Unintentional Malum Act 1, it is the same variant rules. I essentially have free respecs. They do have a variant rule where it's just the first respec. I just say if you respec, it's free. I don't abuse this ever, and the amount of times I've respec'd, I can count on one hand. That's over years of playing. I do not play with urgency anymore, though I do still play as if I still have it in most cases, just out of habit. But the idea behind urgency is to prevent things like stalling and constantly re-rolling your initiative track to get a favorable result, or to take advantage of things like regeneration. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't really solve the problem. Anyone that's familiar with the game and knows how the AI works, you can stall forever. In most cases, there's many ways where you can just stall forever and then just do whatever you need to do anyway. And unfortunately, the rules for urgency end up just really hurting like exploration and stuff like that. Where if you're on a big type of, if you're on an encounter that has a big map, for example, and you go down the wrong fork, for example, and you're sticking together like you should be as a party, that ends up just giving you urgency just purely because you went the wrong way and don't have anything to actually trigger to stop it. So yeah, I don't play with urgency. I usually don't abuse it. As far as like things like abusing like regeneration and stuff, I mean, if you're taking up the slot or spending the XP for that discipline or that gear slot, honestly, you probably earned it. So I'm not gonna really be too bothered by that. Let's see. So yeah, removed urgency, XP leniency. I think the only other one to point out is Bound Souls. So summoning rules, they've changed it. So since 1.1, they now have it set so if the Esper takes damage by an enemy or from an enemy, the summoner will take equal amount of damage. The default rules, unfortunately, make it so opposing summoners and their opposing Espers don't follow that same rule. I've always praised this game for having similar rules for both sides, both the enemy side and and of course the adventurer side, and I prefer to stick with that. So I do play with Bound Souls, which just makes the rule consistent for both sides. So if an opposing Esper takes damage, the opposing summoner will also take equal damage. In my opinion, Bound Souls should be the default, and then there should be a harder variant that turns it off. But I'm not the one that makes that call. So there you go. So no cost for respecs, removed urgency, Bound Souls, and I believe that's everything. So just want to get that all taken care of. All right, let's go over here, ignore the pile of other characters. Okay. So we have to start with a straight shiv. That is required. And we have to start with at least either a leather armor or cloth armor. I went with hoodie deflection. This does reduce damage from ranged attacks, which is actually pretty important and something I tend to forget often. The straight shiv has backstab, but only if you combo with light. And then it has a throw of orange, which you can combo with Shayla's ability, or at least the ballroom version. Also has a passive if you ever do a backstab, you can move afterwards, essentially. To be honest, if I'm attacking, I'm probably not going to be doing very well in the first place. That's the other reason why I'm also taking summoning. Without summoning, you can't do backstabs in most cases. I think the only way you can even potentially do backstabs is if you went full in subterfuge. I think at the level 3 subterfuge ability lets you flank off of walls and edges, or board edges rather. So yeah, straight shiv. As for our other light weapon, I went with the Sea Witch Fetish, which just gives you a casting upgrade, which will be mostly for the summon. Also gives you automatic empower, which of course is just going to be me rolling the dice. It does give you the ability to ignore things involving water. Unfortunately, the first map we're going into will not have any water whatsoever. But you also get a buff if you cast spells while in water. Unfortunately, there's not really many other options I can take as far as light weapons are concerned. The only other option is we can take another straight shiv, which honestly actually kind of sounds kind of nice. You know what? Let's take another straight shiv. Boop, boop, boop. I never thought about that, but another straight shiv is actually kind of baller. Does mean we won't have the automatic empower, but that's okay. So with this, we'll have 2 of these, and that means we have 2 throw oranges that we can take advantage of. I'm just making sure it can't. I'm just making sure there's no restrictions. Yeah, it just says common weapon with the light tag. The other option would be something like a short sword, which can give you at least some rerolls. I guess let me take a look at the short sword real quick. Short sword is right here. It is move diagonally, reroll 1 of your combat dice. Okay. It does become a teal die, which is not the worst. And yeah, that's kind of it. Really, it's the mobility that probably stands out. But I already know what type of enemy we're up against, and I don't really want to be attacking much because my rolls suck. Okay, so we'll go. So we have a straight shiv that we are hard coded to have, and then we have our other light weapon is just going to be another straight shiv just for the throw, and I think that's going to be probably a good call. So we have hoodie deflection as our armor, and then we have 40 gold to spend. I went ahead and grabbed as many throwing knives as possible. Oh, sorry, we also get garter knives. For those who are not familiar with this, this used to be an uncommon relic. That was a promo card, but with this this book, they've changed it into a wandering card, which is why in my other playthrough I have it. Making it wandering makes it a lot more inconsistent on whether or not you can get it, but you can potentially get it very early on, like in my other playthrough. But essentially it changes all your throwing knives into flips rather than discards, so you can essentially have 6 reusable throwing weapons, which is pretty useful. Thing to note is Shayla's ability is an exhaust, so she can't. If you throw all your throwing knives, only one of them will get a bonus die that round. All right, so yeah, 6 throwing knives is 24 gold, and then utility core will be our core here. That gets us up to 39, and that's all we can really afford. We don't carry any gold over because it just says we don't actually start with any gold. It's just we start with up to 40 gold worth of mundane and common items that are not weapons. Also, throwing knives are not weapons. They are items. They're consumables. Takes care of all that. As for our experience, we have 18. That is enough to essentially afford this, which this is 15 XP worth. Like I mentioned before, I tried Crore before, which was kind of okay, except for the fact it was me rolling and I just kept doing bare minimum damage or just rolling really bad in general. So instead, I'm going to be relying more heavily on summons and just things that give me raw damage to mitigate things. Also, the enemies that are going to be up against, I already know have 2 armor. Armor is a very hard counter against throw. So summoning will get me access to Elifie. Elifie has an aura that reduces armor by 2. Which will maximize my damage for throw. So that's kind of the idea here. So we have summoning for that. We have exalted summoning just so we can blow up somebody. I can also use it for potential healing if I need to. And then we have forebode. This is, I believe, the first time I messed with it since the rework. But forebode will let you reroll any die made that you made or was made against you. But what you can reroll is limited based off the highest level discipline of assemblage you have. So level 1 gets you dodge and skill, level 2 gets you spellcasting, level 3 gets you conviction and attack, and then level 4 would be anything. Anything would pretty much just add things like throw, essentially, at that point. We do have up to level 3, so we can roll everything. We can roll up to attack rolls and stuff like that, which I'm mostly going to be doing this for skill checks, because skill checks are going to be important for this upcoming thing. And then, like I mentioned, we have Exalted Summoning, which is just going to be a one-shot, blow somebody up, hopefully. Okay, so yeah, that is the plan. Hopefully this will work out. I am going to go ahead and read through the story text. There's a bunch of it. For anyone not familiar with Middara, there is a lot of reading involved. So I will be keeping things separate based off story rounds and then actual encounters. So the next video will have the encounter. This video will have the story. So the missing piece. Shayla's pushed back from the desk and stretched, spine and shoulders cracking as her stiff muscles protested. She squeezed her dry eyes shut, lines of text lingering as afterimage in her vision. She sighed and rubbed at the tension in her neck. She wasn't sure how much longer she could keep this up, but the work had to be done. She paced around Kezia's enormous blood oak desk and twitched back the heavy window curtain, taking care not to provide a silhouette in case unfriendly agents were watching. It was still full dark, which relieved her. Several times in the past 2 weeks, she had worked within an hour of dawn without realizing it. The day's workload had been immense. Her parents' simultaneous departures and Yoel's preoccupation with the defense of the border had left the work of all 3 of them squarely in her lap. Yun was no help either. Shayla's had tried working with him, but he would always wiggle out of the assignments or tell her to delegate. She was exhausted with explaining that there was no one left to delegate to. These decisions had to be made by royalty, and right now, she and Yun are the only royalty left in the capital. Everything, Parliament's recent demands, judicial rulings, land disputes, military supply lines, espionage and counter-espionage efforts, and even just keeping the castle running, all of it was suddenly her job. She was already drowning. Then today, she had uncovered that mess and hide as well. That's a problem for tomorrow, Shayla muttered. She lowered the hood of her glowstone lantern to a slit and plodded along the dark corridors to her quarters. After a sip of brandy and a quick check for assassins, Shayla fell into bed. Early morning light razored through her eyelids far too soon. Shayla climbed blearily out of bed and started getting ready, stamping down the temptation to close the curtains and slip back under the covers. Instead, she drank half a pot of black coffee, ignored her breakfast, and swore she would take a long weekend once Nightingale came back to shoulder some of the work. Her mind already humming with her to-do list, Shayla sped through her morning routine. Halfway through her shower, she suddenly knew the answer to the hide problem. Wrapped in a towel, her hair still dripping, Shayla scribbled a hurried note, only taking care to sign her name and set her seal clearly. "Get this delivered ASAP," she said to the servant who appeared in response to her bell. "If you can't figure out where he is, task the Jimmyards to find him. I need to see him today." Back in Kezia's office, Shayla's morning flew by as delegates, bureaucrats, petitioners, and lawyers flowed in continuously seeking answers to their problems. Over lunch, she and a handful of clerks reviewed the wording of her legislation proposal from the night before, the head clerk doing his best to soften her blunt language into something more palatable for all sides of the political spectrum. After an eternally lengthy meeting of local magistrates, Shayla finally stole a moment to return to her own suite to read up on the political structure of Cloudavent in preparation for her dinner meeting with the Cloudavent ambassadors. A brusque knock broke into her thoughts, and she looked up to shout at the audacious person who had dared fling open her door without awaiting an answer. The towering figure of Captain Kajax filled her doorway, his ruddy face aglow from a rowdy life in the sun. Her irritation morphed into jealousy, passed into confusion, then settled on relief as she remembered her scribbled summons that morning. "About time you got here. We have to talk. There's big trouble." Now Captain Kajax and his crew have gone to help Elias Hyde battle the Blight, so that's one less thing we need to worry about. Shayla swirled the fine wine in her glass and thought longingly of all of the Brahmanian black label she had just let go. She took a deep drink and studied her host over the rim of the glass. Yun was a picture of relaxation and poise. He had one polished black boot resting on the chair next to him, and his silk shirt gaped wide over his sculpted chest as he hooked an arm over the backrest of his chair. He sipped his drink and smiled lazily at her. "Look at you, finally learning to delegate." Shayla scoffed. Yun had insisted that she join him for after-dinner drinks, arguing that she needed some downtime in order to keep from burning out. Granted, so far she had spent the whole time recapping the business of the past 3 days, but Yun was a good listener and let her talk herself dry. He reached across the table and refilled her glass. Now, if you can just learn to pass some of this other bullshit off to Balthazar's clerks, we will be able to get the whole place running itself. He waved to a servant who brought a platter of desserts to the table edge. Then the mice can play until the cats return. I just hired some new waitresses at the club. He gave her a Cheshire grin as he selected a sorbet from the platter. Shayla raised a disapproving eyebrow at Yun's flippancy. She hesitated, then took a huge slice of dense chocolate cheesecake for herself. That's fine for you to say, but if you would look at the work that needs doing, you'd realize that I'd have to review, correct, and approve everything anyway. It's faster to do it myself. She took a moment to savor a bite of her cake, knowing she'd never be able to finish it. I will be so happy once Nightingale gets back, she admitted. Yeah, when does the little princess get back from her graduation tour? She's not on a graduation tour, you relic. I think she went rock climbing. Yun sat up, his youthful brow furrowing. You think? You mean you don't actually know? Shayla froze. No, I don't. I mean... She thought back frantically. She always talked about a rock climbing trip when she was done with the institute, but the specter of Nightingale rose up from her memory. Her younger sister shifting her weight from foot to foot, asking about a rumor she heard. Oop, turning pages. Cat's on my lap. Hindsight showed Shayla the nervous hesitation in her sister's words, the weariness on her face. Nightingale should have been in full celebration mode, but she had lacked any of her natural exuberance. What was it Nightingale had asked about? A monster of the mouse something? Well, sickle shit. Shayla concluded and rose from the table. Yun, thanks for dessert. I'm going to go figure out where on Middara Nightingale's got to. She paused halfway to the door. You haven't seen Zeke, have you? Not since graduation night, he rubbed his eyes with a groan. Ugh, Ida is going to kill me if she finds out I lost her son. So don't tell her yet. Shayla turned to leave. What should I do? Do what you do best, Shayla called over her shoulder. Sit on your ass and wait for someone else to solve the problem. Stalking through the castle halls, Shayla tried to clear her mind and recall everything she could about her last talk with Nightingale. Her sister had repeated a rumor she heard in the city, people talking about a monster. What had she called it? Maluma? Yeah, that sounded right. Shayla blew out a hard breath. Nightingale had always been very interested in monster hunting, so perhaps she'd gone out hunting this Maluma. Or maybe Nightingale wanted to do her climb in a specific place and had heard the creature was in residence. It would be smart, after all, to know beforehand what sorts of threats might lurk in the area. Maybe too smart for Nightingale, Shayla muttered as she walked. Then a surprisingly optimistic thought surfaced. But not too smart for Rook. In either case, Shayla would have to figure out where this Maluma creature was rumored to be, and there was only one place in the castle likely to have that information. Halfway to Balthazar's office, Shayla paused to address the pair of soldiers solemnly pacing the halls. I need to know the whereabouts of Rook Lara, she said. He is likely not in the capital, but he may have left a note or told someone of his plans. Ask the castle staff and up at the institute. It is vital that I locate him immediately. Such a stalwart guy as Rook would never have left Nightingale alone after Balthazar made him her knight. If someone could tell her where they last saw Rook, she would know where Nightingale was too, all without raising any suspicions that the princess was currently MIA. Shayla smiled grimly. She was getting better at this delegating thing. Shayla shouldered her way through the crowded club, heedless of the drinks she spilled. Yun was holding court at his usual table, surrounded by his favorite sycophants. When he spotted her charging him, his charming smile wilted. Hey, you, he began, but Shayla leaned in close and hissed in her ear. We've got a problem. Come with me. Now. Once they were locked in his private office, Yun folded his arms and leaned against his desk. What can I do for you, Your Highness? Nightingale is in real trouble, Shayla said bluntly. From what I can tell, she has tangled with a powerful entity from Arkala, and she's in way over her head. I need to find her now. Oh, dang. You extracted a silver vape pen from his pocket. You sure she's still alive? Shayla felt her chest tighten, but kept her face confident. Absolutely. For now, anyway. But my source indicates that time is of the essence when dealing with this Esper. The book had been easy enough to find. The disturbed dust on the shelves had immediately caught Shayla's attention, and from there it was a simple matter of eliminating titles till she found the relevant tome. She could only imagine how Nightingale must have felt reading the book, finding out that her chances of survival were practically non-existent. Well, let's call up the Demiurge, send them to hunt her down. Unbidden, a vision flashed through Shayla's head of Demiurge agents cornering the possessed body of her sister and fighting her to the death. Then she thought of the number of people who would learn that Nightingale was missing from her issuing the mission in the first place. That kind of rumor might not topple the delicate balance of power in Alenia, but it would certainly set it wobbling. No, our situation is too fragile right now to risk anyone finding out that a princess is missing, or a Zhang for that matter. I have to take care of this myself, she paced restlessly. Okay, here's the story. I'm leaving the capital to deal with some legal matters around the country. In between cities, I'll be taking a few vacation days to avoid burning out. I'm due back in a month. That should be enough to keep the bureaucrats at bay here and explain my popping up unannounced wherever I end up having to go. A month? Yun sounded suddenly anxious. You're going to be gone for a month? How the hell am I supposed to manage the city for a month? Shayla smiled grimly. Oh, not just the city. The whole country. I recommend you get some sleep. In the morning, I start hunting and you start ruling. It was growing dark the next evening as Shayla made her way to the airship docks after a long, frustrating day. She had been canvassing the city for hours, dressed in her institute uniform, asking after Rook. No one had remembered seeing him around for weeks, though plenty of people knew who he was. Rook was apparently a very popular guy. She'd been about to give up when she had caught 2 lucky breaks. The proprietor of a weapons and supplies shop had remembered Rook coming in to buy adventuring gear the day after graduation. Then a fox-faced lieutenant at the North City Gate had been able to show her the names of 2 pairs of exiting travelers for the day in question. She described Nightingale, Rook, and Zeke, as well as a winged woman who Shayla had concluded must be Remy Moretti. Since the North Road only went to one city of any significant size, her sister's destination had become clear. Shayla needed to get to Ramstead and fast. As she walked, she mulled over the situation. It all made a strange sort of sense. Nightingale clearly didn't want the family knowing she had meddled with the forbidden Esper, but she would still need help getting rid of it. That kind of help would require a certain degree of connections, and quite possibly no one in all Middara was as connected as Remy's father, Malik Moretti. Nightingale didn't know all the seedy, terrible stuff Malik was involved in. For that matter, neither did Remy, unless Shayla's mole in the Black Hand was very wrong about the father-daughter relationship. Shayla just had to hope that Malik had the sense to turn Nightingale down, then turn her over to Grace Zhang for safekeeping. But by the time Shayla reached the airship docks, the sky was fully dark. Glowstone lanterns made with various colored glass filters lit up the docks, helping to guide in any airships that might be arriving at night. Shayla interrupted the dockmaster's dinner to find out which ships, if any, were leaving for Ramstead the next day, then left money with him to arrange passage for her. That done, there was nothing left but to return to the castle and prepare for her flight tomorrow. Finally turning her steps homeward, Shayla realized just how hungry and worn out she was. Fond thoughts of the meal and bed that awaited her filled her mind, so enticing and urgent that she was very nearly missing the quiet scuff of boots on cobbles coming up behind her. And then we proceed to Dockside Mugging, page 10, which is an encounter. I'll read the introductory text and then probably call it there. Rushing out to help your sister might be what Nightingale needs, but now you're practically unarmed and surrounded by thugs. Alenia City isn't the wilderness. If you can survive long enough, a patrol of city constables might notice your situation. A distant bell hanging a few docks away catches your eye. If you could reach it, you could alert the city watch to your plight. A pair of burly thugs ahead of you don't look like they'll be particularly accommodating with that intention. All right, and just to kind of give an idea of what we're up against, this is the board. So majority of these are from Unintentional Malum Act 1, but these little wooden tiles, as well as these boxes and barrels, are from the Inopportune Tip. So with that, we'll be diving into this and trying to do my best to actually show off as much as possible. I believe winning this encounter is pretty easy, just waiting out the timer. But if you want to actually like see everything that's like to offer, like on the left side of the map here, you really you you really need to be on your A game. So I am the Depressed Eeyore. This was Middara, Trail of the Princess #1, an opportune tip on Tabletop Simulator, and I'll see you guys next time.